All right, so if you're watching this video, you're either interested in a trellis plate adapter or you have received a trellis plate adapter. We're going to go over just the basics. Uh, don't throw this away. That has some O-rings in there. You get 8 of these 4-way connectors. You get the 2 trellis plate adapters. And a piece of scrap plastic. The whole point of the trellis plate adapter is to bring a trellis outside the earth box so that we can keep our mulch cover intact in one piece. And it's going to give you the ability to set up a trellis however you like. This is not a finished product. This is not something that you can get and throw it on and be done with it. There is a level of DIY associated with the trellis plate adapter. So I'm going to go ahead and go over what you need to provide for yourself. You're going to need to provide a piece of 1/2-inch PVC, and we're going to cut it into 4 7-inch pieces, 2 pieces that are 11 3/4, and 2 pieces that are 28 1/2. Other than that, the only thing that we have to modify from the earth box itself, if you plan on using wheels, you have to take off these rings. Okay, and that's going to allow the trellis plate adapter to accept these wheels. So in order to get those off, what I found, if you can get in with a pair of pliers and just push and widen that ring up a little bit, then you're able to take a screwdriver and get it behind the ring. Hard to do this on camera. It's easier to do in real life. But you just pry that ring off, and you do that to all 4 of your wheels. Now that's the hardest part. I would hold on to that ring in case you ever want to go back to using the wheels without the trellis plate, because if not, they will fall out of the earth box. So the next step is you take your plates and you're going to line them up with the holes in the bottom of the earth box. And I included this piece of scrap plastic to help you push them in. If you just try to push the trellis plate in without using something flat, it likes to push these aluminum tubes out. So using something flat to push them in is recommended. And don't try to do it with your hand like that, because that will come up and that will cut you. So you don't want to do that. After that, these wheels press right down into the earth box, and they are pretty snug fit. Now, included in the kit is going to be inside this little blue tape here are going to be 4 little O-rings. Now, what these O-rings are for, in case you decide you want to pull these wheels out over and over again, they eventually will become loose in the hole. So what you do, if it ends up being an issue where you're moving your earth box a lot and these wheels fall off, what you're going to do is you're going to take one of these O-rings and you're going to place it inside that groove where we took that ring out, okay? Now, you need to help these O-rings get inside the earth box a little bit. And what I found is take them and give it a little bit of nose grease. Just take your finger, wipe it on your nose, and wipe it on that O-ring. You're just going to take your finger and just help it in as you're pushing, kind of twisting a little bit. You want to get it inside there, and then once you get it started, after you push it in, now that wheel's not going to fall out anymore. I have found that I don't think that it's going to be needed to use the O-rings, but I'm including them just as a backup for just in case. After we have our wheels assembled and attached, we can go ahead and flip it over. Now this is where you could be as creative as you want. My recommended setup to start with is 4 7-inch posts, and those are just going to go ahead and go into the trellis plate adapter. to take our long stick, which was 28.5, and we're going to connect 2 of our 4-ways. And we're going to do that on both sides. Now you can adjust these measurements however you see fit. That's what the benefit of doing this trellis plate adapter is. Keep calling it a trellis plate adapter. I think a trellis adapter plate is a better term for it. So those 2 are going to go here on the sides, and then we're going to connect these 2 with our other short piece, which was 11 3/4. Those are going to go in here. And that is it. So from here on, you probably, if I was going to the store and buying the PVC, I would get 2 sticks per earth box, and that'll give you some more options here. So the first and most obvious way that we can go ahead and use this is to just go ahead and use PVC. So we could take our posts, put the posts on, and then we could stretch a piece of trellis netting over the top here, and then we can go ahead and use our 4-ways to build another layer. We would just attach, 2 more 28.5 and 2 more 11 3/4 here, and we'd have a plane that we could stretch a piece of trellis netting over. You might even be able to just stretch it over the corners here. So that's one option that we have. And you can make this as tall or as short as you want. Another option that we have is that we could use bamboo posts in the corners. So they could drop right down in here. Now, if you'll notice, when we drop down through, it comes out of the bottom. So in order to be able to use these, what we can do, there's two options. We could put them through here, and we could run a screw through the side to hold our bamboo in place. But what I think would work pretty good is if we take this back apart and we drop a nickel down in the hole there. The nickel will sit flush on the bottom, and we can go ahead and put this back together. And our post now won't, there's no way for that to go in any further than the bottom. So now we could use 4 bamboo posts. Now they're a little loose, but I'm sure there's ways of securing them. So yeah, then you could have 4 posts. You could be tying your branches off onto the corners, But I believe that using the PVC is going to be the easiest option. That way you could customize your height to your grow. I believe that this is going to change the way that we use our earth boxes. Being able to scrog individual earth boxes, I think, is going to be great, and still being able to move them. I'm going to experiment this next run and build, several of these and try them out and see how I like them. Hopefully next run we'll have some more visuals and you can see what I did with this. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments. I'll be happy to answer any questions. If you want to see the process of me building these, you can check out my Instagram at Renaissance Mike 420, and I'd be happy to answer any questions on there also.